It's truly amazing to sit around, as most Americans do if they sit around and watch anything at all. They watch what they think is news, and nearly every day see something that is truly horrific. War crimes, in some cases, the term doesn't come close to expressing the outrage that I and many of you feel about what is being done in the name of not only this particular government that we call the United States government, but NATO and other organizations that gang up on a small country. In this case, we're talking about Libya and the attacks NATO has been waging on Libya and its population for, I guess, several months now. We're going to talk about that tonight, and as a backdrop, let me remind you that Libya has a number of reasons that have angered the powers that be and caused them to attack Libya. NATO, of course, takes its orders directly or indirectly through a Byzantine network of high finance and mega capital from the Rothschild family in the city of London. There's no secret about that. NATO, of course, went into Libya ostensibly to protect civilians, but NATO has been doing nothing but killing civilians ever since it began its, well, first they called it a no-fly zone, but that quickly deteriorated and evolved or devolved into a bombing campaign, which has now run, I think, a total of we're into our 17,000 number of sorties. Here to talk to us about why Libya is being attacked is Susan Lindauer, who has a great deal of experience, as you know, in the Middle East, and as an intelligence asset. She is quite a remarkable person, and I think she's standing by now. Are you there, Susan?
I'm right here, Jeff. It's great to be on with you tonight.
Thank you. I'm glad you came back. If any of you are able to, I would like you to please simply go to any major search engine and type in Libya Water Project. And on that page, if you use Google, you'll see images at the top, and you click on images, and you'll see some incredible pictures. It is said that water will soon be as valuable as oil. I think in the case of Libya, it may already have reached that parity at the very least. The story tonight is going to be centered around what is formally called the Great Man-Made River, GMR of Libya. This is a vision of Muammar Gaddafi. It serves 70% of the population of Libya. It is an extraordinary complex, and it is called by Mr. Gaddafi himself as the eighth wonder of the world, and I can understand that. It dates back to the mid-1950s, when efforts to find oil in southern Libya instead led to the discovery of enormous quantities of ice-age water, perfect water, beautiful water, fresh water in almost unlimited amounts underground. It is said that if Libya were to use it to its maximum, it would last at least 100 years, probably longer. So, Susan, tell our listeners first about your experience in Libya and your knowledge of the Great Man-Made River, which is just really an incredible project, which, I guess I should say it now, in the last week was bombed. The pipes were bombed by NATO, those brave and valiant warriors, and the factory which made these huge pipes was also destroyed. Another effort at humanitarianism if you've never seen it. And these are war crimes of the first magnitude. Go ahead, Susan, please.
Well, first of all, for those of you who don't know or who need a refresher, I was the U.S. intelligence asset covering the Libyan embassy at the United Nations from 1995 to 2003, right up until the war with Iraq. I'm a fair broker on this because I have pushed Libya to do things that they didn't want to do, and at the same time, I have known them very well, and I am convinced that this war is a catastrophe. It is totally unnecessary and unlawful. That what we have done in Iraq, at least in Iraq, they had a phony justification for the war, but they didn't. But it was false, a false justification entirely. But in Libya, they haven't even tried to give a pretext for doing this. They have just started attacking and bombing. for no reason.
What is that a sign of, Susan? Is that a sign of supreme arrogance, or is it something else? I mean, they're not even pretending anymore to use stealth to try to hide their nefarious genocidal actions. They just do it.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. Gaddafi has been in power, as you all know, for 41 years. However, he also is the most advanced on women's rights and modernist Islam in the whole Arab world. Most of the Arab rulers have been in for 30 to 40 years. The Jordan family has ruled, the Jordan royal family has ruled as a monarchy for 100 years. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, all these countries are all in the same situation. So for us to pick on Libya, just doesn't make any sense, especially since there was no provocation for this.
No,
he
was
nothing.
Yeah. Well, in turning this
just
water
came out of the blue.
Well, it was obviously planned, and there are other reasons. There's certainly oil there, but the water issue would have made Libya completely independent, self-sufficient, and it would have made the Sahara Desert, and in fact is making the Sahara Desert bloom the most beautiful green you've ever seen. Look at images, and you'll see pictures of all of this. It's an incredible project. Now, not only that, but Gaddafi had set up a new financial paradigm, as it were, which bypassed the Rothschild cartel completely. It set up a new way of trading and exchange in North Africa. They didn't like that. They wanted his oil. They want this water, too. I guarantee you that.
I will tell you, they will never allow the country to be torn in half.
Who's they?
The people of Libya.
All right.
They have no intention of giving it up. But I will tell you that there are several reasons that have nothing to do with humanitarian interest. Obviously, one is the oil. It costs $1 per barrel of oil to get at Libya's oil. And the thing is, Libya is willing to sell it to you. So there's no reason you don't have to go into Libya and force them at point a gun at their head to make them sell you their oil. That's ridiculous. The other thing is that Libya has vast reserves of gold. And Libya was in the process of championing an African dinar backed by gold.
Right.
And that would rival the euro.
Well, it would have sidestepped the whole Rothschild game, and that's something you don't do.
Exactly. And with Libya's ties to China as far as oil sales and the major oil contracts going to China, using an African dinar, gold-backed dinar, would have put Africa combined with the water, making Libya a very fertile, a desert country, Sahara Desert kind of country, that is now fertile, that is now capable of producing food.
Well, it would have become the breadbasket of northern Africa.
That's right.
Quite literally.
And NATO has now destroyed 22,000 acres of agricultural land.